Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out Neko Rescue Tale. This game is developed by Game Studio, Radalaka Games, and East Asia Soft, and published by East Asia Soft, and released on April 26, 2023, for a price of $5. You can currently save $1 if you want to pick it up in the Xbox store. This is a platformer kind of game, but actually a platformer game that I know we've had a lot of these like cheapish games coming out, but actually gets a little more challenging as you play. The game features 60 levels, but you only need to complete 44 to get all the achievements, so leaving some hopeful maybe rooms for some additional achievements to be added in the game. So I'm going to actually dive into the game and show one of the later levels so you can kind of see what it's about, and I can just talk about things. So the way this game works is you have this little cat that thematically you would think would have more than one life, but only has one life instead of its typical 9 lives, and you have to go through the entire stage jumping on every enemy without dying. Now, if you happen to get killed even once, the level's going to end up having you completely restart. So it's pretty much you need a perfect run every one of the stages while you're playing. Now, the controls are honestly super simplistic. You're just going to be jumping with your cat and landing on things. Now, where some things get a little more challenging in the game is there are things that are trying to kill you throughout the level. As you can see, we just died by that saw blade there, so we have to end up restarting the entire level. And then as you start to progress further into the game, you're going to slowly get introduced with more and more different things that are ultimately trying to kill you. I'd say early on in the game, the most annoying things that you're going to have to deal with are these little rats. And then the game will start to introduce other little challenging aspects in the game. As you can see, that little bird that has flown across our screen, we need to wait for that bird to come to a point where we can actually take it out, because you can get to different parts of levels and not be able to go back and do other things that you need to. Now, along with all that, there are also things that are going to be tricky with certain jumps that you have to make sure to manage, and things that you really have to focus on, because if you miss out on anything, you're gonna have to start everything over. And that's where honestly the most joy for this game comes into play for me, is being able to just play a platformer that is difficult in a sense, but is one that doesn't have you playing like, a crazy lengthy level. It's one that has you going through the cycles and having to get through, everything in a perfect run, but in a way that I don't think is going to be insanely difficult for the average gamer who's used to platformers, but at the same time will be a good introductory system, as you'll get through the first XYZ amount of stages probably with no problem, but start to ramp up as things begin to get introduced to you. So I'll jump to like one of the most recent levels I've been working on. I'm still myself trying to get things done, and as you go through this game, it starts to introduce more and more characters. As you can see on this stage, I have bears, I have wolves, things that require me to hit and land on them more than once. So this becomes a part of the game where you have to really, manage what you're doing and deal with multiple enemies that are not, I guess enemies, I don't know if I really want to call them enemies, but multiple things that you're having to deal with when it comes to the guys to complete out stages, as well as things that are going to get tricky as you play and go through things. As you can see, I've got balls and chains that are trying to completely take me out. I've got height obstacles that I have to deal with, and all these things just make the levels more and more challenging, as it's really the only opportunity to beat everything. Is I have to figure out what's the best pathway for me to complete things. As you can see, if I would have dropped down here, I would never have been able to get back up here to really deal with the enemies that I had to deal with. And you always have that bird that you have to figure out the best pathways really to go throughout the game and to be able to deal with things in the game. Overall, I think the game gives a nice challenging aspect to it. It has very simplistic controls that aren't really difficult at all. Along with the D-pad, you can use an analog stick to play and navigate with, and honestly, the visuals are not bad, little platformer style visuals, and honestly, who doesn't hate cats and playing as a cat trying to defeat things that would never happen in real life. Overall, I think Neko Rescue Tale is a pretty fun game, and if you like platformers and have been playing a lot of easy ones and want one that's a little more challenging, not impossible, but you know, will give you some enjoyment and playtime, I definitely would recommend picking up Neko Rescue Tale. Outside of that, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you have any questions, please let me know down below in the comments. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you next time.